Tengo un problema con la señora que nos tiene que dar la señal de los 5 minutos porque no veo nada.
No la encuentro, o sea, yo tampoco.
O sea, entonces, sí, ¿tú la ves? Sí. Vale. Ah, qué bien. Bueno, Egunon.
Good morning, and thank you to the festival. Thank you for having us. The Spanish television is here since 15 years. Now we have part of the jury, the Council of RTVE, and the director and co-writer of The Fury, the film. And I'm going to read, and then I will give them the floor. To quote a classic, we are very happy and moved to participate in one of the most important festivals of the world in perspectives, as the cinema shows with a look, the gaze, and the voice of women. Very briefly, I would like to express our gratitude on behalf of the Observatory for Equality to all the women. The idea is diversity and equality in radio television in Spain. Thank you to Amaya for her professionalism and her affection. Thank you to RTVE Spanish television, especially to the cinematographic team. And thank you to one of ours, Gervasio Iglesias. And thank you to the observatory people. This team is essential, from the Commission of Associations, CIMA, GTI, and professionals associations coming from the periphery. We are all the center of the world. And for instance, the new friend, Compi, the president, is with us today. Thank you to the board supporting the observatory by unanimity. And today in San Sebastian, we have Maria Roncesvalles Solana. Maria, she's part of the Otra Mirada Award, awarded by the Spanish television. And thank you especially to Conchi Cascajosa, promoter and the soul of the observatory. And when she was the president of the Spanish television, she was the indispensable link with the world of cinema. And she knows it perfectly, thanks to her feminist look, professional look, and academic side. Thank you, Conchi, for your generosity. Thank you for your lucidity and your demanding presence, that with no self-complacency. That's another way of victimizing if you are self-complacent. Thank you to all these women for making our world a better place. After this different teams meeting and brainstorming, we decided to focus this roundtable on something that hasn't been told by women. There are other roundtables today. Microphone, please. They're very stimulating themes that we're going to tackle later on. We will speak about slopes, hard slopes, and the journeys that women have gone through. And the topic is the sexual violence against women. If Madame Bovary was Flaubert from Cuerno de Cabra, you will remember, in 1972 from Bulgaria, and Promises from the East, and both films are very good. Women, we have been always spectators. We haven't been narrators, we haven't been the protagonists, just women. Women script writing, producing, and directing women for real projects. This year, we had the great chance to have a film called the Fury, high-quality film showing that there's an audience that wants that we are treated as adults. A difficult film because reality is complex and it's not easy to tell, but so simple to understand and to feel. In Fury, the direction, script, camera, art production, and art direction, and all this part. I've seen your team. Maybe there's a man in all that crew. It's marvelous. Productions as this one are an example of the importance of representing sexual violence and its consequences on the cinema from the point of view of reflection. The ethical part, the aesthetic part is important. It breaks the sexist stereotypes and the culture of rape in the audiovisual world. Suppose you've watched Fury. Otherwise, well, you have to watch it. It's a fantastic film. This is an important thing to do in your life. Watch Fury. I'm going to present Gemma Blasco, director and co-script writer of Furia. Gemma is your name. She's cinema director. She has awards to the best short in Noves Vision in the International Festival of Sitges in 2015, the short Jaurías in the official section in Malaga Festival in 2018, and the feature film The Zoo in 2018. Maria Solana, as the councillor in Pamplona, has its own office in Pamplona, and I work in Seville. People from STI, ALMA, and other associations, we are periphery people. We're not in Madrid. Gemma, in 2025, she premiered the film Fury, which speaks about sexual violence and the consequences of this in the life of the lead. Then Mireia Grael, producer of Fury, co-founder of the production company Ringo Media. She works in La Novia 2015 and Verano de 1993 in 2017, with new characters that are very special, but they are an element. In summer of 93, there's a person suffering from achondroplasty. And this character is the auntie of the family, and she's the auntie. She's not a dwarf. She is the auntie. And she's a small person, that's it. She shows it with a very natural, in a very natural form. We loved this film, summer of 1993, and this element didn't appear. That was your success. Nobody said, "Oh, there's a dwarf, and she is an auntie in this film." No, she was. That was fantastic. So she was nominated for Best Art Direction and nominated in Goya prizes. She's behind Matria 2023, Diario de la Meva Extorsión 2024, L'Etat Imminent, The Imminent Age 2024, Filmei Pasos Volando. I Shot Flying Birds, and The Fury 2025. And on my left, Beatriz Aparicio, she's the one of the head of the Observatory of Equality. She's a journalist, she's a historian, and she is leading the Equality Observatory from the Spanish television. She started in 2022 in order to fulfill the legal commitments for equality in the Spanish television. We are collaborating with Spanish television, and Beatriz is doing a PhD in gender relations and feminist studies in the University of Zaragoza. And she's focusing on the representation of sexual violence in cinema, in the cinema of rape and revenge shot by women. And now I'm going to give them the floor because they are the real protagonists here. And this afternoon we'll have a working table at 4 o'clock. But We are very proud, and I'll tell you why. And without you, we would have never succeeded in doing this. Gervasio said is one of ours. The Observatory for Equality will be in the committee, the assessment committee that decides what are the projects or films that are going to be funded by the Spanish television. Not only as an observatory for equality, but within a legal framework where there's an explicit reference made to the last agreement against gender violence. We know what we're talking about. We are not just flowers on a table. We women. Thank you very much. Okay, let's start. I know that there's a personal story, but why did you choose this theme? You chose a film like Fury. What is this film giving to you since you started with this project? What have you learned, and what did you get from this film? A lot of things. It has given us a lot of things at personal level. I'm talking about my personal opinion. The great opportunity to use cinema as a catharsis, as a channel to express things, is what she does in theatre. I never thought about this film as a therapy because I already did my therapies, but I think that cinema is a fantastic place where express your artistic drive. And I approached many women. They told me their stories. We are a network where many women in the same situations. We wanted to speak with many women during the Q&A sessions. I don't know if you haven't watched this film. Today there's going to be many spoilers. You agree, Mireia? So we speak about revenge, and I think the movie at the end, well, some women have thanked me for that. In that car, at the end, a person told me in that car, all our rapers are on fire. All our rapists are burning. Microphone, please. No, I cannot hear you. Impossible. Sorry. Would have you done this movie in the same way? Yes. After 1 year, yes, I would have done it exactly the same. Of course, there are many things that I could change. Direction, decisions. Maybe I would have changed certain elements, but maybe I would do that with any theme. We have been sure about our decisions, about the theme, how to represent sexual violence. We had doubts, and now we asserted, and we were affirming what we thought. Of course, I would change some things. 18 months after the shooting, you've changed as a person. You've learned a lot. You've been exchanging and having conversations with many women around. But when I look back and I see the first conversations we had, well, the essence is there. That's what we wanted, and it's in the movie. The ABC is there. Initially, the movie had another title, Angela. And I knew that Angela would be there in the film, so that was the first title we wanted to give it. But then I received the documents in 2019, and it's exactly the same, the way we wanted to tell the story, the pain, the disgust. Of course, we could have changed little things, but the basics are the same. The core is the same. There's a person with the same name. We knew that he was coming. Yes, there's another title, another film with the same title, Fury. Did you speak with Felix? Because his film has the same title as yours. No, I didn't speak with Felix. For my generation, Felix is Perdona Bonita. tells a story of the movida in Madrid. It's been a real story of the movida in Madrid, but I was so shocked with your film that I didn't realize there was another film with the same title. They announced it last year. And the name is Anna Torrent is also in our Fury, so it's the impressive character, the fantastic actress, Anna Torrent. You chose revenge, Beatriz. Your PhD is revenge. In the case of Fury, revenge has a protagonist. It's a woman. But something that we wanted to take into account here within some of the discourses, the anti-equality or reactionary discourses, what they do is to use violence against women to stigmatize ethnic groups, religious groups, etc. And rape and sexual aggression is used as something against men. Like in the Marseillaise, Allons Enfants, like general rape of women as a trophy. In parties like Vox, Arabs come to rape our women. That's what they say. It's in parties like Vox. So we need to be conscious of the fact that we need to speak about violence against women. That's essential. And furthermore, we need to explain what is the manipulated use of sexual against women in stigmatized groups.
It has to be the women speaking about violence about women, leaving aside revenge, which is a very good issue. When you talk about rape and revenge, this kind of film has been a very misogynist type of film, who has shown all the possible stereotypes, sexist stereotypes, and has contributed to this fake information where the aggressor is the attacker is a man that attacks you in a dead end road at night, and this is of course opposite to feminist theory, or what we do from the observatory, and where we found a title for this woman. Speaking of repairing, not only the plot of the film, but you choosing this point of view to talk about it in film. Was not only misogynist, but it was always directed by men. I've been looking for films like yours about men, women, and revenge, and I've had a hard time to find one. I found like less than 30 in the whole film, and because there aren't many. And what is the good thing about it? Well, it's good that to put down all these speeches about women's credibility and honoring and dishonoring women. It's not a attack to women directly, but somebody who belongs to somebody else, to a brother or a husband. And this kind of speeches are very necessary to heal this spirit in society. And speaking of revenge, it is interesting because it has been used as a way to speak about women as monster, like Jenkins' film Monster, who were starred by Charlize Theron. So for people, a revenging woman is worse than being aggressed sexually. So when with these stories you tell, you put the focus on where it needs to be. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, there's not much to add, but I think that what we you have opened a lot of doors there. At least from the beginning, I thought that I would bet on dismantling some myths around these issues, except for the unknown man or in a dead-end road. I think it's important to put everybody into context. The whole process of the film started when I suffered a sexual aggression when I was 17 years old, and my case is completely different. That would make to another film. The real case I lived was somebody unknown. It was in the street. And he ended up in prison, and there was a trial, and this is completely different to the story in my film. And I did an active decision, and not consciously, I wanted to step aside from my story, and but at the same time, I wanted to tell what I felt. I wasn't interested in the trial as a filmmaker, but I wanted to tell the pain that I hadn't represented in films, because there's two different things there, and we'll talk about them later if you want. The representation of violence itself, where I had to make a lot of questions to myself, and I took decision from the ethical and political side. And then, on the other hand, is that I couldn't find films that went deep. Well, I'm sure I've seen way less film than you, and I haven't seen films everywhere in the world, and I'm sure there's films that represent this well. But the films I had watched, I didn't feel represented. I didn't represent the process of trauma, so dark and deep trauma. I didn't feel it represented, and this is what I found when I started to study film, which happened 2 months after I was aggressed, and that's at that point. 3 months later, after suffering my aggression, I knew that one day I would do this film. I didn't know what shape it would have, but I knew I wanted to express how I felt. So we can talk about reparation, but the film doesn't take you to the point of reparation and restoration. It doesn't mean that the character doesn't make it there, but I wanted to focus on that. And this is decisions I took at the beginning, and I also took the decision to step aside from my story, not to protect myself or make it less painful. The process was very kind, and it wasn't traumatic at all, but I did it to be less objective while taking decisions, and I think this is important. I didn't need to be the center of attention and tell my story. Me and the co-writer, we want to be representative, and we want to be useful. So we researched the victim attention departments. They told us that most rapes take place in a familiar environment, and they are not they're not taken to court or to the police. You did a previous research study. You searched for data. Well, I wouldn't say we did a research work. Well, of course, there's people who are specialized in this, and they help us. Yes, well, we did a field work. We didn't do a field work. We talked. There's families we found on the way on our path. But this is an original decision that and it's a familiar environment, and it hasn't been reported. Well, there was a police headquarters. There's some sequence where she does report, and there were decisions that we take self-consciously. Well, she was close to the idea of reporting, but she never did. Do you look to Mireia, because production is important on what was Mireia's role in this, and how is it for a production company to hear, okay, hello, here's a film about rape and revenge? Well, she's blushing because we talked yesterday or the day before that I'm thinking, and well, we just talked about it recently. We talk a lot about films that are directed by women, scripts, edition done by women. So it is important for production companies to that help or that support projects from first or new directors. It's important to at least have throw in a point of view that is feminist, because it is reflected in the films at the end. So I was very, very comfortable with her. Well, presenting it, it's not a case of first try success. Of course, the first screenings or the first times we presented it to TV channels, they didn't like it, but then the quality and was the artistic work was so good. And then when you had Filmax and then Spanish television, these agents help the others to see it from a different point of view. Before there was Gervasio, but before him was Maite, which she was the one we had to work with. Well, Gervasio, he didn't know anything about the film, and he was absolutely mind blown. Yeah, because he came from production world, and he was. Yeah, this is the first support for us. Well, it's the first one and the last one. And when we talk about this, the ICA entered, and TV3, Aragon TV, and then all the rest followed. So whose was the decision to make a only women team? Well, we decided all together. The script writer, we knew had to be a woman, and the cinematographer and the art. Yes, well, it happened like that, but we did kind of look for it. Personally, I like to have a balance, but the men that were there were very sensitive, and they had a perspective, an insight. For instance, Carles Kurt, who is like the most kind, respectful person, and that was very important to have somebody like that in a part. Yeah. This is an argument that is always used with speaking of women. If it's a woman, but she has a lot of qualities. So in this case, it's been the man who has had to prove his sensibility. Well, you're not conscious that what a kind of revolution this means. Yeah, we always talk that the point of view of women as it had to be inherently feminist, and he can also be inherently, well, not inherently, but he can also touch it from a feminist point of view. It's a matter of energy. We really like to interview all heads of departments, men and women, and we see if the energy between them flows. Because of course, there's a lot of tension many times. There's a lot on the plate, and well, the team is who is important when turning a film. So everybody has to be comfortable. So the casting of the team is very, very important. We spend a lot of time, a lot of energy in choosing our team, even more than what's usual. Well, I mean, sometimes you have to say no to someone, and it's very painful. Well, that's directing, honey. Yeah, well, you understand. But if I want to make a film, so you mix, and it's an industry, it's a business, so you decide if you give somebody this job or not, and that's when things get complicated. But it's not only about directing. But it's very interesting because we spent a lot of time and resources interviewing people and creating a team that understood each other. Well, we might have like the best, greatest, well-known person, but if I see him, I have him in front of me, and I see that I don't see his vibe. It doesn't matter if he's one can. Well, this is one of the strengths of the festival, I think, and these talks is to do it with associations from the collective point of view. Standing up for collective is anti-patriarchal. It breaks a way of organizing the world and the bodies of organization and production. So because there's no doubt associations are the first gateway for women who have suffered violence. It's not a coincidence that when the Vox gets into councils, they cut off what they call like sheds because they save people. Do you think the consciousness that women on their own wouldn't make themselves? Is this myth a lie? Well, sorry, I didn't quite understand. If you believe that if it's inherent to everything that women achieve in such an important matter, like the audiovisual and cinema, because they create narrative and they invent the world. Do you think that women know that that it's the collective way, the association is how we achieve more and more rights, and not from as an individuals, like collectively, as opposed to individual? Well, we're talking about two things. Yeah, because there's two branches here. There's a lot of women, and there's production and direction. How's your experience? Well, for me, my experience is that this job is absolutely collective, and my whole life is collective. I don't live as an individual. Everything I do as a community. Human beings are social. You do things along with other human beings. You don't function on your own. And if you take this to the film, films are a collective creation. I mean, I belong to different associations, a production company, the Academy, Catalonia, Spain, and everybody, or a group of people, have a common goal. They share values, and they debate, and they come to conclusions. Maybe they don't think exactly like you, but just the fact that you're talking about it, it means you're progressing towards a better way. And it's good not to always share an opinion. The important thing is to be respectful. But speaking of the film, there was talking about the team. Of course, I hesitate. I don't know everything. I don't have the absolute truth. So you need a team that has to be okay with this, that he doesn't expect a producer or a director that says, okay, this is like this, we're going to work like this. And there's different types of working, different types of leadership, and different teams have to understand it. And not everybody in the team understands that, and they demand a position that is clearer. Thankfully, it's not the case. But I really looked for this while choosing. Yeah, because direction is often a place where you find a lot of egos. Well, do you think that is so clearly, socially clear, that collective is the way we're going? Well, for me, it's just essential to be partner in different associations has been absolutely essential when it comes to training on audiovisuals, on violence, and points of reference. And then there's directors before me that I opened those doors, because there's directors before I even started studying. But even from when I started cinema till I've done La Furia, there's so many women film directors, and not only women that I like, that you can see yourself in them, in their production models, because you feel them so close to you, and they probably came to do the film the way you did it, because a few years ago this was different. But the ones that were just before us are more of a reference. And this is a collective community, and to create cinematography is also collective, because it starts from different individuals working as a team, and working as a team in a film like this. That was so clear from the beginning, the tone and the narrative, or at least we all had it very clear. Together, we could do something. It's obvious that film itself is a teamwork, but sometimes it's more horizontal than others. Whether the aesthetic and ethic decisions of how to talk about sexual relation, because Irreversible is a film that includes 10 minutes of violence, rape, and it's very obvious. But in Furia, it's dark. You only hear it. Yes, this decision was on the script. There was some point on the script that through the reflect of a mirror, you could see one of her eyes when she left, but that's all. That's all that you could see. But then at the end, we decided to put it all black. And it was a political decision because we had on one side the intuition, or I wanted that the sequence would be part of the film. And I did think about it, but let's use the ellipses, just to represent the violence from creating an imagery. Because the images, if they impact you, you create a traumatic memory, and you can come back to them. Sound, as it is in La Furia, you don't go back to it because it's not captured by the eye. And but it's not. That's not the reason. Is not to create a traumatic memory in the public, and that I thought it was a major. Because irreversible, they come back to my mind. I saw it when I was 17 years old, and I thought, wow, this is what a film. But then I saw it again. I thought, wow, I'm not buying this. Yes, I think everybody who's seen Irreversible twice has had the same reaction. Yes, well, I don't like to speak badly about other films, but this is important. I like his style, but I think there's something unethical in his film. But I think that it's not only in his film, but this one is very long. It lasts for a lot of minutes. I wanted the sequence to be part of the film. I didn't want to use the ellipses, but I wanted to use a responsible way of reflecting. Yes, because it's repairing for victims. Yes, you don't want to hide it on the same time. Yes, it just opens a lot of doors. I wanted the sequence to be there, and I wanted the public to, because the point of view is so intense. So I thought it was a little bit of a cheat that you felt that you were touching him. But I didn't know how to do it, how without falling into creating a show, without creating a traumatic memory, for not to create this into the actor or the actors, even though there's intimacy coordination and they might feel comfortable. I wanted to be respectful with all the victims that might watch the film, and to avoid this for being a reason not to watch the film. And it was very powerful. So we decided to make it dark, and we using the sound. And this goes along to the proposal of you're public, you're there, but you're like her. You haven't seen who it is. It's a dark black, and this is what she sees. It's a point of view and creates the idea of an incomplete memory. You've been there, but you haven't seen a face. You live with her, this managing of the trauma. And there was another thing, and I think this came up later. And it was kind of like a gift. This decision as audience, you haven't seen anything, but you believe what she says. You absolutely, there's no place for a doubt. And I thought it was very important. Okay, when I realized this, I thought, credibility is the most important thing in this kind of narratives. Yes, I'm not sure if I forgot something. Yeah, and the sequence is equally uncomfortable. I'm sure some people have been gutted and disgusted by seeing it, but after all, many women have told us that the sequence was done from the right place. Thank you, and they told us thank you for doing it from that place. Yeah, I also wanted to ask you about revenge, because that's a political decision to decide not to make the brother and not the raped person herself to take revenge. And it's a violent revenge, because a lot of films, they talk of the fact that it's not actually a revenge, but it is a collective decision against this patriarchal reflecting in society. But in this case, it is true. Yeah, now we're talking about little nuances in the script. Well, going back to what we talked before of the essence, I remember the first time she talked to me about the film. We were having drinking a beer in a bar. Not a coffee, yeah, it was a beer. It's okay. The idea was a woman is raped. She tells her brother. The brother is completely in rage and fury, goes, looks for the raper, and kills him. And we're talking about 2018. There was different ways of killing. There was different ways of killing, and just before filming, I told Mireia, I have a very good idea. Yes, I think we've been talking about explain the world for the fire, explain the world for 33,000 days. Yeah, and it's very mythological fire. Yeah, of course. Well, I'm laughing now, but there's decisions that we've thought about it so long without going to analyzing our process deeply. But I knew it clearly. I had it very clear. He wanted revenge. He wanted her not to take revenge, or I wanted her not to take revenge, but she wanted to try to show that she decides not to take revenge, but she's capable of doing it. But she still fantasized with the idea of taking revenge, like getting close to this universe, but then at the end, voluntarily take the decision of not doing it. Well, I'm saying I think because I'm not sure. It's also a reflection about violence and how me as Gemma Blasco, I think that violence generates more violence. It's very paralyzing. But on the other hand, I'm tempted to work on it in cinema because it's a channel to express many things. And this is not very academic, but for me, it was a driving force to do the film. For me, Gemma Blasco, to be able to kill my rapist in fiction, this was very repairing. I don't agree with anybody killing anyone in real life. I wouldn't even get close to the desire of killing anyone. But yeah, for the character itself, it's like breaking with this edge of violence for violence. She just cuts it, this cycle. Yeah, it's an excuse. Just think about the international issue we live in Palestine. We don't need to talk about this, but victimism can also be an excuse, and Beatriz and I, we talked about it. It seems so difficult to explain reaction before violence and to tell the moment of violence from the rapist's point of view. How tempting it is to turn him into a monster, and how little efficient it is, because violence is not far from normal people. I mean, anybody can turn into a violent, into a villain. Yes. Another decision now, I'm just memories coming back to my mind. Yeah, the profile could be like not a true bastard. Yeah, now I'm getting back ideas, and this is interesting. There was a moment where we kind of lost it from the script. There was like too many. It was a closer relationship with the rapist, and then we thought, no way, we're not going to give him that relevance to that person. Not going to make him part of the film. It's her story. I'm not even give you any more screen time. Yeah, that's a very important decision. In this guide, where you've all taken part, we say all the time the focus has to be it can't be on the aggressor, it has to be on the victim. Yes, it was the decision of saying, no, he's not part of the cast. He's not a character. He has a name because he has to be named somehow, but the film doesn't evolve around him. He's not important in the film. And at the end of the film, and I think it's quite interesting, curious, and I'm not talking up different interpretations of the film. That some people, well, everybody is touched differently by films, and depends on the moment how in your life. But some women have told me, "Wow, I love you. I love that he kills the rapist." But others are completely deceived. Oh no, they stole the story. he decided for her. He shouldn't have done it. And some people tell me, well, it is important to ask me, oh, does he die at the end? And some people just don't care. And that is interesting because, in fact, when we do debates, I would have expected to find women that tell me stories, but I actually found women that are mothers of victims, and that is a different perspective altogether. There's real cases. In Spain, there was a case of a woman who killed her daughter's rapist. Yeah, there was a sister too. Well, it makes sense after all, because the film. No, I can't find the word. It's a very important word in the gender construction, gender building. Yeah, in which hands is the violence? It might seem it might look too simple because at the end we put it to women and men, but the violence from a man's point of view is the roles you've been taught. Your brother will protect you. You, as a man, will protect your sister. And this is a lot of people in touch with this. But as Gemma Velasco, I don't like to use the word energy much because I don't like it. But the aspect or the part more that identifies more with the masculine, everything that's masculine, male, is in the brothers character, and that's me. That's my alpha side. Your alpha side? Well, I'm scared. I'm scared of using the wrong words. Well, it's a very primitive part. When she searched in the party, she was looking for him with the smell, and that's very primitive. Yes, absolutely. Do we still have time for some interventions? I'd like to see you, but I can't see you. We have 10 minutes. Would you agree if we ask the audience to participate? Hello. Thank you for the film. Thank you very much. We've talked about everything that it means, rape and all this, but I want to focus on something else and to thank you for the tension, the constant tension along the film, the moments that are so wonderful. For instance, when they're on the table and there's a lamp running around in a very crazy way. And I would like to ask you how you maintain the tension in the character, and she doesn't let you breathe. And for me personally, the thing that encouraged me or touched me, moved me more, was that you're with her. You can't breathe like she can't breathe, or for instance the wild boar, the blood, everything. Can you talk a little bit about all these details? Thank you. Thank you for the question. Sorry, before the lamp. Wild boar, lamp. What did you ask at the beginning? Tension. Yeah, tension. I think there was something that in the proposal from the beginning, because the editing, Didac has done well, I helped him a little, but it's Didac mostly who's done the editing work. That goes along this rhythm. The speed where it kicks off is amazing, and then it breaks suddenly, and then it picks up this intensity again. And we joked, yeah, at some point the film just runs over you like a lorry. But it has to do with the character. But the character was pretty much edited on the script, and we tried that the rhythm was reflected on the script, and it had to do with with this choking that we wanted the public to feel breathless like her. And I'm really happy to hear that we did achieve it. But because some of the decision I took, I was afraid of creating some trauma, but we do need a little bit of suffering to be able to empathize with the character. So, but you see, we talk of reparation. When you see the film itself, it doesn't heal you, even though it sheds some light, but it's not healing itself. But you can get close enough, or something close to something that has to do with healing, with repairing. So because it needed some strong details, even though I could go too far, but I needed to introduce some violent, traumatic element. We have to go deep into the subject. We need to, if we talk about, we need to understand how deep this pain is. We can't go, you can't turn the page. We can move on, or at least I can move on. Films where she says, okay, she's moved on, she's turned the page. How strong is she? That's so beautiful. Now her sexual life is completely fulfilled. Then I think we've missed a step. We should have stopped and talk about the pain. Maybe you don't agree, because I'm talking about visions that can be very traumatic. But we're juggling through this. No usa el micrófono. Well, we've been.
Sometimes I need to explain it once again. It's a need for me. Overcoming the rape in the film, that doesn't mean that she cannot have fantastic sex in her future. We need to think about that. It's about the depth of the pain. Thank you. Thanks to Mary. Somebody else? You spoke about the editing. The role of editing is fundamental. I was thinking about Mercedes Moncada in Andalusia. Editing is essential. Well, you know about this profession. There's another interesting thing to say about editing. It builds your viewpoint in a movie. Of course, you have an idea. What is your standing? But editing is fundamental for your viewpoint, for your perspective. We need to mention Nina Menke's documentary. I don't remember the title. Brainwash. If you haven't watched that, I was in a debate in Saima, and I knew about this documentary. Where to put your camera. It's not just an aesthetic decision or a language decision. It's not about direction. It's about a perspective, the feminist viewpoint in cinema, what type of the shots that you decide to use. Is there a specific shot for women or a joint shot with many people inside? When you're making a film, you cannot make new decisions because we are active in decision-making while script writing. But during the shooting, you have no time to think. You're not so sure. You cannot reflect on political decisions, where to put your camera. But I watched this documentary. I thought about that. And during the shooting, you cannot decide. But sometimes it's not the best decision. But it's important. How do we represent the woman's body at visual level? Where do we put the camera? What about the light? On the table, there was this light. We are analyzing news. Where are we putting the focus? Who are we judging? Is it a decision, a political decision? What to use this light or this camera? You sometimes decide to do something more aesthetic, but in fact, it's not the right decision. Yeah, we need to read, to be trained, to learn. Your intuition comes first. I do agree. It's very subjective indeed. But it's better to reflect upstream. I have the right to fail. to make mistakes. I have the right to make mistakes. If there are no more questions, yes. Mercedes Beatriz, thank you for representing us in the observatory. It's fantastic to have you in the observatory. Regarding the movie, Gemma and Mireia, I liked the role, the part of Alex. I work with migrant women suffering from sexual violence, and she goes through shame, dishonoring, disgust. It's somber, but it's not morbid. It's somber, but it's not morbid when you show violence. And Alex is finding her way through theater and through media. What I liked less as a spectator is to put revenge on the burning this man through the brother. I now understand it better, but it's not true that in general women look for revenges, except one or two cases. In the vast majority, they play with revenge in their heads, but they don't do it. They turn it into different parts of their life, with children, with a new partner, etc. They do not make revenge for real. So it's a sweet and sour taste after watching your movie. It's your work. But revenge doesn't happen very often. And in sexual violence is an aggression that is suffered, but comes from justice, from the court, from the legal part. Our women, our sisters are suffering sexual violence or re-victimization from the judges, from the court. I can remind you of the cases in Barcelona, a pioneering case, a judgment where the judge said you have been raped because you had a short pair of trousers. So in fact, it's re-victimizing the victim. I do agree with you. Maybe you understood the ending in a different way. We make movies. We do get informed about real cases. I had my own experience. I suppose that revenge is in my head. Of course, I hope nobody is going to do it on my behalf. But in this movie, I'm not going to say what was our perspective for the end part, but it's related to the disappointment that the brother is stealing her part. He's executing the revenge on her behalf, and she's disappointed. I'm not explaining the film. It's not satisfactory for her. It's something that we wanted to show. It's unsatisfactory for Alex. I can make another movie about unfairness in court, and it's aggression. And I was 18. And my mother worked in court, and I attended a trial. But there is a terrible, what we call justice violence or legal violence. Yes, your mother is a real character. I was told to decide. I had to decide by myself. We didn't talk about this problem in court. It's a representation of this general fear that victims have to the second trial, the second re-victimization of raped women. There's untrust. She doesn't know who she is after many months, and she is expressing pain. We had the scene with the police with lots of violence. But there were many questions, and she doesn't denounce the rape because she doesn't know who the person was, and she showered and she she didn't report because she didn't know who it was and how it was, etc. She didn't report the rape. Most of women do not report their rapes. Why? Why do women not report the rapes? Because of the system. I found very good people in the legal system. This legal system is violent. Reporting is re-victimizing. It's a new trauma. And then the trial. And good intentions without resources cause disappointment and untrust. And people distrust justice and the institutions. With love, you cannot solve all the problems. That's resentment. Now, 20 seconds, because we need to give time for the next session. Microphone, please.
Gracias a ti.
Thank you. We didn't hear what she said.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much. We will now have a break and we'll continue with the session.